Hi, welcome to HowtoDandD. My name is Fred Wheeler, and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. And core blimey, the topic is a bit of a strange one. Do people remember this particular TV series? I know I remember it because I have the TV series in my collection. So apparently the TV series is so popular that we now have an answer to the all-consuming question, which is, did the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon characters get home? Well, and apparently they did get home, and there is more information on what's been going on with them, and I don't know how this has been pulled off, but apparently it has been pulled off. Ignore Dungeon Master. When he says he has something for you, you don't know whether he's pointing down or behind you, and that's really confusing. I know, I totally understand that. Okay, so apparently the classic Dungeons and Dragons animated cartoon series, those characters have been made into live action characters, and they've done it for a Renault car commercial, actually not just one car commercial as it happens, in Brazil. Now, why have they decided to do that in Brazil? Apparently in Brazil it's very popular, like really, really popular. These characters have been fleeing or running from Tiamat and Venja while trying to get home for about three TV seasons, three seasons of TV episodes, and we never actually found out what was going to happen to them. I think the intention was the series would continue on, but of course it got cancelled, and that was that. But thanks to Brazil and their fascination and the popularity of the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon series in their country back then, and it still permeates today, a car company has taken it upon themselves to make a series of car commercials featuring these characters. Now, I know that sounds like, well, hang on, that sounds really weird. That's not really what I thought we were talking about. Well, I know, I understand that. Now, you will find a link to the car commercial down in the description of this video, or the doobly-doo if you want to go and check it out a little bit later on. But let me explain what's going on here. These characters are actually really well cast. They've been very careful about who they selected. These people look exactly like the characters that as we envisaged them in the cartoon. But not only that, there's been about one new Dungeons and Dragons car commercial based on these characters made each week for the last 3 months since they put out the main car commercial. Very, very strange. I do realize that. Now, for those of you who are wondering what is going on, what they've done is they have deliberately made this look like a full-blown movie trailer. It looks like a full-blown movie trailer. They literally have gone to that much effort, a lot of expense to actually make it happen. Now, the very first one is about 1.5 minutes, the time span that you would expect for any kind of movie trailer to be nowadays, with the exception of not including a lot of black screen. So they haven't included a lot of black screen. Yes, it's full of special effects. Yes, it has all of the characters that we remember. Yes, it has Tiamat, it has Venja, it has Dungeon Master in there, it has Uni, the unicorn, it has all of the characters doing all the things we remember them doing. And that was done deliberately, and of course a lot of people have assumed that there is a movie coming out based on these characters from the old cartoon TV series. Now, who knows what will happen in the future? Maybe this will get somebody's interest and they will decide actually they've got something here, we can do something with it. It wouldn't be the first time, but I want to sort of explain to you essentially how they got home and what's been going on. So first off, these car commercials obviously feature Dungeon Master. Now, Dungeon Master is the riddle-talking guide that is often featured in the cartoon. He's also featured in the live-action commercials, and his role is obviously really important, but essentially the story goes like this. So if you do not want to hear, these are spoilers for the trailer. For those of you who want to go and just watch the car commercial trailer, then go and watch that and be done. But now I'm about to tell you exactly what happens. So after being chased, that's all of the characters from the Dungeons & Dragons party from the original cartoon, all live action, they are being chased by Tiamat. We have Hank opening up and firing an energy arrow at Tiamat, followed by Bobby the Barbarian smashing the cave entrance, trapping Tiamat in place. They are on the run. Tiamat's trying to get out of there. It's only a matter of time before that happens. Venger shows up on his flying horse and starts hurling bolts of energy. And of course, Dungeon Master shows up in a Renault car, drives up to them and says it's time to go home. And they all get in. And of course, this is the one time that Presto actually manages to use his magic from his hat and opens a portal with the help of the GPS on the car, which allows them to be taken home. They drive through the portal, they escape Tiamat, and it isn't actually spelled out in the ad completely, but we see what looks like Venger makes it through the portal, disguises himself as a police officer on a horse, and Uni also makes it through the portal as well. So, and then it stops, but it doesn't stop because the story continues. And as I said, for the last 3 months, they've been pumping out one of these short Renault car commercials based on the characters about every week. I would say roughly about every week. And they don't seem to be slowing up in terms of how they are doing this. The last one was only a week ago as far as I can tell. So the characters, obviously, Dungeon Master shows up a lot. Diana, for those of you who were really a fan of Diana the acrobat gets a lot of time in the original, including what looks like a very bright glowing staff. Doesn't really get to do very much other than a lot of running, but it's interesting how the future car commercials actually feature her quite a bit as it happens. For those of you who were more of a fan of Hank the Ranger, well, Hank the Ranger gets some prime time using his energy or lightning arrows, fighting off Tiamat and Venger, and of course doing what he always does, as he is pretty much the leader, doing a lot of shouting at the group, telling them to run. But he also featured again in the follow-up commercials. For those of you who were a fan of Bobby and Bobby's unicorn uni, yes, these characters show up. Now, Bobby's key part is to block the cave, as I said, trapping Tiamat with his club, his magical club that radiates energy and so forth. He also pops up in a lot of these future commercials. Presto, Presto usually wasn't successful in using his hat, but apparently he's gotten better at it. In fact, a lot of the characters seem to be portrayed slightly differently in that they must have been doing this for some time and they've actually got better at what they were used to be doing. And so Presto was able to open up a portal, obviously with the help of this Renault car's GPS system, but he is also featured quite a lot in future videos. I thought it was interesting that probably one of the most cranky of the characters, so Eric the Cavalier, he uses his magic shield to protect everybody in the original commercial, but he has followed up again in numerous video commercials that the company makes. And I found that really, really interesting, that a character who is really a kind of like a spanner in the works and usually in conflict with the rest of the group gets quite a lot of time in follow-up commercials. So quite interesting. So if you're wondering, will I ever get to see sort of some development in these characters? You might well. Now, for those of you who remember Sheila, now Sheila is the thief with the invisible cloak, can go invisible. Usually didn't get very much playtime in the cartoon, although not in terms of using her cloak, that is. Most of the time she was usually like telling off Eric or guiding everybody or talking to Bobby and trying to calm down Bobby and Uni for whatever reason, but really didn't have an awful lot to do. It's funny that her part to play is literally doesn't help the situation that much at all, other than to get into the car, put the cloak on and turn invisible. And then of course somebody apparently sits in the same place she's sitting in, so they must be sitting on her lap. I mean, maybe that's Bobby, who knows, I don't know. So I just thought I would let you know that for those of you who were aware or were unaware that this car commercial exists based off a rather classic Dungeons and Dragons cartoon. I mean, to be fair, it was considered pretty hokey back then, maybe still is considered pretty hokey. From what I can see so far, I haven't seen follow-up ads that include Tiamat. So the original certainly includes the Queen of Dragons, and certainly some pretty good shots. I haven't seen any follow-ups, like I said. Venger. Now, Venger played a big part in the original commercial. I haven't seen follow-ups with Venger, but I can see this happening at some point because it wouldn't be very difficult for them to put a police officer with red eyes riding on a horse chasing a Renault car down the street at some point, or through some sort of desert environment if they really wanted to. So really quite amusing, I have to say. I honestly, when I first saw this, I thought that they were actually talking about a full-blown movie or a new TV series of some kind. So just to make it really clear, it isn't a full-blown movie. Maybe it will become that. Somehow Renault has been able to get the rights to be able to do this. There's no way they would have been able to do this otherwise. If it works out really well and makes them a lot of money, I can see eventually this going further. So when everybody thinks, well, a lot of the things that I really loved in my childhood have gone and now they didn't sort of resolve themselves, don't be surprised if things develop and go in a direction you were not expecting. Because this is the time where Dungeons and Dragons is doing everything that nobody ever thought was possible. And I just want to reiterate that. So I'm hoping that you found this video helpful and interesting and entertaining in some way and useful. And I recommend going and checking out the original commercial, which is down in the doobly-doo or description, linked down there if you really want to check it out. Now, I have hundreds of videos for players and dungeon masters, which you're welcome to go and check out if you want to. I'm sure there'll be something that will be useful to you. If you want to support the channel so I keep doing videos and content like this, and I do lots of different types of content, then you can support me on Patreon. I also have affiliate links down in the description to Amazon and the book depository. I also have a merchandise shelf underneath. And make sure to share, like, and subscribe. Hit the bell button to be notified when I go live and when I publish new videos. And I do that a lot. Lots and lots and lots. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s.